here later. But I think we came out fairly healthy of this game, and so I don't think there's going to be a whole lot to talk about, even so. And with that, I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Go ahead and fire away.
We'll go first to Jesse Newell. Jesse?
Hey, Kelsey, I have a follow-up too. Hey, Andy, you said after the game the Raiders were bringing an extra guy to stop the run, but I just wondered after watching, what was your overall evaluation of your guys' run game against the Raiders?
Yeah, we can do better in that area. And so I've got to make sure that I give the guys the right things to run against that defense. And then, the guys have to do their job on top of that. So it's kind of a package deal there. And but I didn't feel like I was necessarily putting him in the best position against that.
Great. And since the last time we talked, I think you made your movie debut. I just wondered what part of that experience you're going to remember most.
Yeah. I didn't have a real big part in it, thank goodness. Or the movie probably wouldn't have been as good as it was. So that's a good thing. So, but I enjoyed the people with Hallmark. They sure do a nice job with things, and it's a local group here. So it's, they're Kansas City grown, and I appreciate their support. I think we have a unique relationship between the two organizations, which is something. I mean, Hallmark is one of those we all grew up with. If you needed a Christmas card, you knew where to go. You get a Hallmark, and you knew you're in good hands there. So, but anyways, that it was fun. It was fun for what I did there. I mean, they made it painless.
We'll go next to Adam Teicher. Adam?
Hey, Andy. Just curious what the plan will be for DJ Humphries this week, what his practice week is going to look like. And Kelsey, I'll have a second question as well.
Yeah, and we'll work him in and see what he can, see how he feels. That's the main thing. He hadn't played in a while, so I just want to make sure he's in good position. He did a nice job last week working in there, and we'll do a little bit more with him this week.
Okay. And obviously, this season hasn't gone like you thought it would or like you hoped at left tackle. So why not? What's gone wrong there?
Yeah, listen, we've got young guys that we're working in there, and so the growth. They're going against good players, and the good ones have gotten probably the better of us. But it's things that these guys will learn from, and they can bank for the future and get themselves better. And I think that'll help us down the road. So I mean, that's what I would tell you.
We'll go next to Pete Sweeney. Pete?
And Kelsey, I'll have a quick follow-up if I can. Andy, you guys replaced Najee Johnson with Joshua Williams mid-game. Defensive side of the ball, I know, but just how did you feel like he did coming in? I know it's been up and down for him, but just reflecting on his film.
Yeah, listen, I'm glad we have both of them. I think both of them can still work in there and do some things, and we haven't given up on Najee or anything of that sort. I mean, he's coming off pretty major knee surgery, and so we've kind of kept an eye on him with that. And I think as we go forward, we can use both of them, I'm sure.
And then just in a follow-up to Adam, do you think it's a possibility for DJ to start this week, or is it just strictly you guys are going to see how the week goes?
Yeah, listen, last week was a short week, so we didn't have a whole lot of time to, for the fast part of the game practices, and so this week he'll have I'll have a better idea as we go, and he'll have a better idea. So how he feels, and then we just go from there. We'll just see how it all works out.
We'll go next to Sam McDowell. Sam?
Hey, Pete just really asked my question, but just
Hey, let's talk about that crazy game against the Las Vegas Raiders. The one that had you on the edge of your seat until the very last second. Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be that close, right? On paper, the Chiefs should have blown them out. But for some reason, every game this season feels like a roller coaster, and this one was no different. Going into the game, you probably expected Kansas City to handle the Raiders with ease, especially since Las Vegas is having a rough season. They're practically in a race for the top pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. But if there's one thing you've noticed as a Chiefs fan, it's that divisional games, especially against the Raiders, are never simple. Remember last year on Christmas Day? The Raiders pulled off a surprise win, and it kind of set the tone for this rivalry. So, when Black Friday rolled around, you might have had a feeling something weird was about to happen. And sure enough, it did. The game came down to a single moment, a botched snap by the Raiders with just seconds left on the clock. Can you believe it? They were in position to steal the game, but the football gods had other plans. The Chiefs jumped on that loose ball, and just like that, it was game over. A sweep of the season series against the Raiders. It's the kind of win that feels good in the moment, but leaves you thinking, should it really have been that close? Now, here's a quick question for you. Were you more relieved or frustrated after that win? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you saw it. And hey, if you're enjoying this breakdown, why not subscribe to the channel? Every subscriber helps us get closer to our goal of 2,000, and your support means the world. So, what went wrong? Well, head coach Andy Reid didn't hold back when talking about the team's performance, especially when it came to the run game. And if you've followed the Chiefs for a while, you know Reid isn't the kind of coach to sugarcoat things. In his post-game comments, Reid admitted that the run game just wasn't good enough. We can do better in that area, he said. And he wasn't just pointing fingers at the players, he took some of the blame himself. He mentioned that it's a package deal, meaning it's not just about the players executing, but also about giving them the right plays to run. That's the kind of accountability you want from your head coach, right? Reid knows that if the run game isn't clicking, it affects the entire offense. And against the Raiders, it was pretty obvious that things weren't clicking. The Chiefs only ran the ball 14 times with their running backs. 14. That's not what you expect from a team that wants to dominate on the ground. Sure, Isaiah Pacheco had that big 34-yard run, the longest by any Chiefs player this season, but outside of that, the run game was, well, underwhelming. Reid also pointed out that the Raiders' defense did a great job of shutting things down. But here's the thing, Reid isn't the kind of coach who makes excuses. He knows the Chiefs need to adjust, and fast. Now, let me ask you, do you think the run game issues are more about the play calling or the execution on the field? Vote in the comments. I'm curious to see what you think. And while you're there, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. But if you thought the run game was the only issue, wait until you hear the numbers. Alright, let's dig into the stats. Because if you felt like the run game was off, well, the numbers confirm it. The Chiefs managed just 14 carries between their running backs, and those attempts didn't exactly light up the stat sheet. Let's start with Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah, he had that impressive 34-yard run, but outside of that, his impact was limited. It was frustrating, especially knowing he's capable of breaking big plays. Then there's Kareem Hunt, 7 carries for a grand total of 15 yards. That's 2.1 yards per carry. Not exactly the kind of production you want to see, right? And here's the kicker, Hunt finished the game with -11 RYOE, rush yards over expected. Basically, he wasn't even getting the yards you'd normally expect given the situations he was in. That stat paints a pretty clear picture of how much the Raiders' defense had the upper hand in this matchup. But we can't place all the blame on the running backs. The blocking just wasn't there. And that's a problem, especially as we head toward the postseason. The Chiefs have always prided themselves on making adjustments, but the clock is ticking. So, what's your take? Do you think the Chiefs can turn it around before the playoffs? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you're finding this breakdown insightful, now's the perfect time to subscribe. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest on the Chiefs as we march toward 2,000 subscribers. If you're wondering why the run game struggled so much, look no further than the offensive line. It wasn't their best day, and that's putting it mildly. In fact, this might have been the most challenging game for the line all season. One of the biggest issues? Joe Thuney, the Chiefs' best run blocker, had to move out of his natural position. Instead of dominating as a guard, he was shifted to tackle, a spot where he's capable but not as impactful. And when you're playing musical chairs with your O-line, it's no surprise that things get messy. Without Thuney anchoring the interior, the run game just couldn't find its rhythm. The gaps weren't there, and when they did open up, they closed quickly. It's no wonder Pacheco and Hunt struggled to gain any momentum. Now, if you've been following the Chiefs for a while, you know that a strong offensive line is crucial, especially as we approach the playoffs. The defense will only get tougher, and if the line doesn't hold up, it's not just the run game that suffers, the entire offense feels it. But let's be real, Andy Reid and his staff have faced similar challenges before. And more often than not, they find a way to fix it. Do you think they'll pull it off again? Drop your predictions in the comments. I'm curious to see if you're optimistic or concerned. Oh, and if you're enjoying this deep dive, make sure you're subscribed. We're closing in on 2,000 subscribers, and with your help, we'll get there. Plus, you won't want to miss our next breakdown of the Chiefs' upcoming games. Speaking of which, the road ahead isn't easy, but it might just be the perfect opportunity for a comeback. Let's talk about it.